Bledsoe was arrested.
Patrick Montgomery was in court.
Jonathan Manapa will stay in federal custody.
No, I don't take responsibility at all.
Hey everyone, welcome to the show. So 64-year-old Michigan resident and Marine veteran Matthew Krol was a member of a Michigan volunteer militia. He was also an associate of the Wolverine Watchmen. And if the Watchmen sounds familiar, it's because that was the group that was involved in that plot to kidnap and murder Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer. Now, he wasn't involved. I don't mean to imply that, but he was a part of that group. And in Facebook messages leading up to January 6th, Krol expressed his desire to use violence against politicians. He expressed his hostility toward Governor Whitmer, even though he wasn't involved in the plot. He also shared photos of himself with weapons. And in one Facebook message group, Krol said, quote, "I'm willing to kill or die for liberty." And quote, "I spoke on the Michigan Capitol steps last fall that I would rather apprehend tyrants at the Capitol, hang them on those beautiful oak trees, than kill citizens in a civil war." So on January 6th, Krol made his way to the front of the police line. This was within the restricted area of the Capitol grounds. He became violent almost immediately. First, Krol threw a bottle of water at the police. Then he grabbed an officer and tried to hit his arm with his baton. Then Krol spun the officer around multiple times and he wrestled the baton away from the officer. Then Krol used the baton to strike a second officer, and he struck the shield of a third officer. A short time after that, Sergeant Aquilino Gonell, who you guys probably know, he was pulling a member of the mob off of another fellow officer. And Krol approached him and he struck Sergeant Gonell's bare hand and shoulder with the baton. So Sergeant Gonell suffered permanent ligament damage in that hand, and he had to have weeks and weeks of physical therapy after the Capitol attack. To this day, they say he has pain in that same hand. He has pain and discomfort on a regular basis, believed to be the result of Krol's attack. And remember, Sergeant Gonell later defended the lower West Terrace Tunnel, and he was violently assaulted in that area as well. So this is while his hand was injured from the previous attack from Krol. As for Krol, he was interviewed by Customs and Border Patrol in October of 2021, and he was crossing back into the U.S. from Mexico. And Krol told the agents that he was, quote, pretty pissed about them stopping him. And then he said that the only reason they were questioning him was because he's a proud Trump supporter. And then Krol said, quote, "There is a lying fucking thief in the office and he needs to go." And quote, "The bitch in Michigan, the governor, she needs to be arrested." In regard to January 6th, Krol said it was a peaceful protest. He also said that he thought that it was, quote, bullshit that people were being arrested for the Capitol attack. You know, people literally attacking police like him. Krol also told the Border Patrol agents that he was more patriotic than any of them, any of the ones who were questioning him. And so Krol was arrested in February of 2022, and he was charged with civil disorder, assaulting officers, 2 counts of assaulting officers with a dangerous weapon, robbery, entering restricted building or grounds with a dangerous or deadly weapon, and 2 counts of physical violence, one of which also included a dangerous weapon enhancement. Krol pleaded guilty to 1 count of assaulting officers with a dangerous weapon. That was in August of 2023. So he was looking at up to 20 years in prison, 3 years of probation, and $250,000 in fines. The prosecutor, however, requested 78 months in prison, 3 years of probation, and $2,000 in restitution. Sergeant Gonell spoke at Krol's sentencing hearing, and he urged the judge to hold Krol accountable. And the officer said, quote, "People like him don't deserve a second chance." And then he added, quote, "The course of my life was changed that day, and he was part of the mob that ensured I'd lose my career." Krol also spoke, And he directed some of his comments directly to Sergeant Gunnell, saying, quote, "I don't expect you to accept my apology, but I hope one day you do." And then Krol told the judge that he was, quote, "terribly sorry." And he said that at the time of the Capitol attack, quote, "I felt justified for my actions," and quote, "I saw things differently then than I do today. For everyone's sake, I wish I could go back and change that day." But Krol claims that time in prison has made him realize that what he did was wrong. The prosecutor said, don't buy it. The prosecutor told the judge, this is all a bunch of BS because Krol has continued to refer to himself as a political prisoner. And in a YouTube video, Krol was questioning whether or not Sergeant Gunnell was being truthful. So that's how bad he feels about it, that he's trying to put it out there, insinuating that Sergeant Gunnell is lying about his injuries. So U.S. District Judge Rudolph Contreras presided over Krol's case, and when all was said and done, Krol was sentenced to 51 months in prison, 3 years of probation, and $2,000 in restitution. I am pretty shocked that the judge didn't give him more time, considering how violent he was, the permanent injury to Sergeant Gunnell. Krol received also nearly 2 years towards his sentencing that he's already been in prison. So he won't be out in time for the next election, but he only has about 2 more years to go. So I do hope he's genuine in his newfound remorse, but after nearly 3 years of covering these cases, I'm a little bit more than skeptical. And the fact that all of a sudden he's in court and now he has remorse, whereas, for almost 3 years now since the Capitol attack, he hasn't. He's been doubling down on it, questioning the officer whose life he ruined. Sorry, no, I'm not buying it. Like I said, I hope I'm wrong. I hope he proves me wrong. I doubt it. All right. Thank you all so much for watching and listening. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you have not. If you're on TikTok, please give me a follow. And if you guys can donate, it really helps to keep the show going. Or even if it's a super thanks or a one-time tip or whatever the case may be, whatever platform you're watching on, greatly appreciate it. Love you guys. Take care. Talk with you soon.